This is Calm AF, a podcast for humans who are hard on themselves. A podcast for the overthinkers, people pleasers, perfectionists, and overachievers. I'm Kristen Finch, and I'm going to teach you how to quiet that incessant negative chatter in your head. Because you know what a person with a calm mind can do? Anything they want. Grab your coffee, gorgeous soul, because today's the day you get Calm AF. Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Calm AF. So, I have super exciting news for this week. My husband, Dave, and I are launching our new podcast tomorrow, finally. I didn't realize how much time had passed since we talked about it, and now it seemed like a couple weeks. Apparently it was several months. So our apologies for it taking long. This is just how we roll over here at the Finch house. Anyway, so let me go back. The podcast is called Happy Now, Autism, Marriage, and the Journal of Best Practices. And we are creating this podcast for anyone and everyone who is in a relationship with someone who is wired differently, who confuses them. Basically everyone in any type of relationship. And yes, we are neurodiverse, and so there is that very unique edge to the conversation. So we have been so happy, having the best time with the episodes that we've recorded so far. And it has been a really, I would call it, delightful project doing this podcast together. But doing this with Dave has really opened my eyes to how far we've come, how well we work together, despite how differently we really experience life in the day-to-day. So I feel my way through situations. I am a intuitively led person. I move organically through life where it pulls me. And Dave, he is a little more systematic, more thoughtful, more detailed. He's a detail guy. I am not a detail person. We're wired differently, but this, I've just been so appreciative and proud of us for how much fun we're having with this Happy Now podcast, because our two ways of doing life in general used to be something that really, really challenged our relationship. It doesn't matter what it could be, a yard project or even something fun. Like we would go to Great America, let's say, and something would happen that would cause Dave to perseverate, or he would get anxious about something. And then I would meet him where he was. I would meet him in his energy. And then we would both be there, right? We would both be anxious and irritable and snapping at each other. And this is really, kind of opened my eyes again to how far we've come. And it's why the most important work that I've ever done for myself over the years has been really learning how to be and stay calm AF, which, as you know, it's not a permanent state of calm, a permanent state of zen, but it's a willful insistence. Right? I'm relentlessly committed to protecting my own energy no matter what's going on around me. Because matching someone's bad energy or negative energy or anxious energy is not helping me or them or anyone else. It's just making everything harder and worse. And as we've been doing this project and I was thinking about it, reminded me of a story that illustrates this point of how you can choose to stay calm AF, even when the people around you are not, and why it's so important to. So Dave and I recorded, this is one of my all-time favorite stories of us ever. Like, we talk about it regularly. My kids know the story, even though it happened before them. We recorded this for a different podcast. It was a show that Dave wrote and produced. So he produced it his way. There's all the sound effects and all that. But I went back and found this conversation And I just want to play it for you today. And as you listen to the story, I want you to think about what it would be like if you are a person who is in a relationship with someone who has a hard time staying regulated, and you often find yourself matching their dysregulation. I want you just to really think about, how it can be, how in a situation that isn't working out the way someone wants it to, how you can stay calm AF through it. So I know you'll be able to relate. I know this story is so funny. I cry laughing when I tell it. So without further ado, let me share the story. By the way, this is totally what you can expect from our new podcast, from Happy Now. This is a relationship podcast for couples. We're just having fun. We are discussing the book that my husband wrote, The Journal of Best Practices. We are going through chapter by chapter. So if you are someone who has read the book, even if you're not, grab the book, go through it with us chapter by chapter. It's super fun. We are having the best time going through the story again. So it's called Happy Now, Autism, Marriage, and the Journal of Best Practices. The first episode drops tomorrow, which is Thursday, on all of the podcast platforms. Wherever you listen to this podcast you're listening to right now, you will be able to find it on that platform. So it's called Happy Now. We'll leave some links in the show notes. Be sure to check it out, subscribe, leave a review. And now here we go. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Crazy Truck.
So we drove down to Texas. It was one of the first vacations we ever took together.
Yes.
And
we were going to a wedding.
We're going to a wedding to what is essentially your extended family.
Yes.
People that you grew up with.
Yes.
And she looks exactly like you.
Yes.
And she loves Great Danes.
Mm-hmm.
Jessica. So we went down there for this drive down to Texas. We were both in great moods. We were in some, I don't know, United States geography. Like, it seems to me like we were in Kentucky, but that can't be right if we were heading to Texas.
Because Texas is like 3 days it takes to drive through. So we were most likely in Texas.
Yeah, once you get into Texas, you've got a nice 3-day drive before you can get to where that really good mole sauce is.
Yeah.
So we were on the highway, and you caught on to something that I saw in my peripheral vision, but I didn't really, I didn't clock it. Crazy Truck.
Crazy Truck.
Having a good time. We're probably listening to Christina Aguilera.
Probably. Singing
it at the top of our lungs. Mm-hmm. And I start realizing, every time, you start realizing.
I saw it.
Yes.
I saw it. I was like, there's this truck. And we would try and get past, right? Because you always want to try and pass the semis when you're on the freeways.
Absolutely.
So every time we would try and pass him, we would, but then he would always pass us again. Or we would get stuck behind him, or we'd get stuck behind someone else. And what I realized, I was like, this truck knows exactly how to maneuver through this traffic. And he was going super fast.
He was flying.
He had to have been going like 90.
For most of the time, even up hills.
Yes, he was flying and he was weaving in and out, but not in a dangerous way. And so I was like, Dave, just get behind the truck. Don't try and pass him anymore. He's crazy. He's going so fast, but he knows how to maneuver his way. I'm like, just stay behind him. So you did.
So I realized you were right.
Yeah.
Because every time I would make progress overtaking some people or a whole group, and you're like, hey, you got 30 people behind you.
Truck, yeah.
And then boom, Crazy Truck goes flying by. And I don't mean like he would pass us. He would fly past us.
Yeah, but still not he wasn't being reckless.
He wasn't being reckless.
He was just he knew what he was doing. He was going quick, and he knew how to get through.
And this is a full 18-wheel big rig.
Yes.
And he's dancing between these lanes like he's a Jedi Knight driving a Mini Cooper. Just boom, 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 boom. So Kristen says to do something, and I do it. So, all right, get behind the Crazy Truck. So then at one point, just having a fun time with this initially. Like, hey, I'll get behind the Crazy Truck. Why not? So at one point, I forget how it happened. Like, we ended up right behind him.
Oh yeah, we got in line.
Yeah, and we were trailing him, and I'm maybe 20 miles into this, and I realized, like, this is fucking awesome. This is the shit.
Yes.
Like, If we're behind this truck and I just do exactly what he's doing, and I don't put more than a car length between us, I don't need to look anywhere else on the highway.
Nope.
I don't need to think strategically. I don't need to worry about, well, can I really pass that person going up the hill, this or that? I'm just going to follow him like, what are those, like those remora eels or remoras?
I have no
Those
idea.
little things that like latch onto sharks and they,
Oh, yeah.
you know, so he's the shark and I'm like, well, we'll just latch onto him. It'll be fun. And kind of one thing leads to another and another truck has to get over. Something like that happens. I don't know. And so point is I end up letting some people in. And then I did that a couple times. And now we're like about a dozen cars back from Crazy Truck. And I start thinking like, oh, fuck, I really miss being behind Crazy Truck. We got to get up there behind Crazy Truck. And you're like, I know. So I start jockeying for position again. He bobs, I bob, right? And then he weaves, I weave. And you're having the time of your life. And, so now you're spotting.
I was like, you just get behind him and you stay behind him. Don't let people get in front of you. Like if people are trying to go around you, don't worry about it. Like just stay behind Crazy Truck.
And I'm like a soldier, so
you're like, yes, ma'am. So I'm like, trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
We're all going 90 miles an hour.
Everyone, right? Yeah. So we're going, and now there's Van. Remember, there was Van. Van was like trying to get around because everybody who sees a semi thinks get around the semi. But we had already learned, no, don't get around Crazy Truck. It will backfire on you. And so Van showed up and Van was trying to get ahead. And then all of a sudden we pull into the left and all of a sudden we pass Van.
See ya, Van.
And then there was like what are those? Station wagon.
Yeah.
There was probably like 6, right? That I started noticing. I'm like, they keep trying to get around us and then we keep passing them again. And so after a while, everybody realized, get behind Crazy Truck. So we were in this line and there was probably like 10 of us. It was like Crazy Truck and then us and then Van and then Station Wagon and all of the ones that got behind it. And we just did whatever Crazy Truck did.
And it would have, and all the other cars that we're blowing by it now, the chain, it's growing the whole time. It's a 10 vehicle long. It's basically a pileup that hasn't crashed
It's
yet.
Like baby ducklings behind a mama duck. We're like, just stay in line. Everybody know your position. Like I remember Van tried a couple times to get in front of us.
That's just it. If everybody respected the line.
Yes, they should have.
Van, and when we say van, this is like a
like
late
one of those
70s,
old
early
brown
80s.
with curtains.
Brown with curtains, the big tinted out bubble window, and the wolf painted on the tire in the back.
Yes.
And he
kept trying to
like, even if you improve your position behind Crazy Truck by 3 car lengths, you're behind Crazy Truck.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are in the line.
Absolutely, like
you could be first, you could be
chain.
10th. Stay where you are. This is the fastest way. It's most efficient.
Right. That's exactly. But it wasn't good enough for Van.
No, Van did not like it.
So Van fucked up a couple times.
Yep.
And I actually got position on him. Imagine trying to keep up this pace and this frenzy of staying in exactly the truck's wake. Yes. Weaving in and out of traffic.
Weaving in and out.
And I'm trying to look forward and back now because I'm trying to think like I've got Van on my ass. So if I don't move at just the right time to move into the next lane, Van's going to pull his shit.
Try and pull it. Yes.
Ruin the whole line.
Yes.
So now I've got to manage Van's behavior.
Yep.
And I've got to look ahead because it's like if I go too soon, the guy in front of me is going to think that I'm trying to pull shit.
Right.
And the whole system's going to fall apart.
Yeah.
And Crazy
Everyone
Truck
just needs to stay where they're supposed to be.
I wish Crazy Truck just had a big sign on the back door, the roll-up door of the trailer that just said, trust me, get in line, stay in your position, and we will get there.
Yes.
Right?
So, meanwhile, I'm having the time of my life. Like, this is so fun. Look at everybody's in line behind us now, Dave. Look at Van's now in line and Station Wagon, and we all just, Crazy Truck goes left, and all 10 of us go left. And it was the best. It was so fun.
Fun for you, but I'm managing the universe at this point. Yes. So now it's like, you're like, we all go left. I'm like, we gotta go left right now. And then every few minutes there'd be some new dickhead
trying to get ahead of Crazy Truck, and we all just look at him like,
you're not gonna do it.
You're gonna get in line. Like, just might as well.
We're gonna laugh our asses off. And the arrogance of these cars. So I'm so competitive.
Yes.
And I'm I've got my orders from you saying, get behind crazy. You stay behind crazy truck.
It was just fun for me.
I didn't like. We have different opinions of fun.
And I was laughing. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, get behind!"
I know.
And I had no idea that you were silently.
If I
dying.
thought the stakes were, I thought the stakes were if I fall out of position, if we're not behind crazy truck, you will see me as less of a man. So I'm not jeopardizing that, but at the same time, if I f*** up, we both careen off into the ditch, you know, and so now my palms are sweating. I'm drenched in sweat,
and I have no idea at this point.
Pale
still,
and green. You're just laughing.
I'm feeding you snacks. I'm getting the music turned up, like whatever I need to do.
And it got to the point where my jaw was so tight. This to keep this up for an hour and a half or 2 hours is fucking exhausting.
Yeah.
And
I was just like, hey, this will get us there faster.
Would have. But then I had a mental breakdown.
We're just sitting there. And all of a sudden, you're like, I'm out. And you take the exit and you leave. I was like, what just happened?
No warning.
No warning.
If I don't take this exit, I'm going to die.
I was like, okay, what happened? And I had no idea. I was like, what?
I remember essentially everything going black. Not really, but I remember like nothing. Yes. And then I remember being on the exit ramp and finally feeling
and
like...
we stopped at a gas station.
Yeah, I was just like, and I was yelling at you. I was like, it's too much. There's too much fucking going on
here.
Too much
pressure.
I got Van. I've got this and I'm like yelling. And you were like, Dave, we were just...
okay.
It's like, it's not okay, because look, there goes Crazy Truck. And he goes... Missed out on the opportunity of a lifetime.
Oh, gosh.
Imagine where we could have ended up if we had just stayed behind him and blown off that wedding.
Oh, it was like, that is a perfect example of us being in the same situation and having two completely different experiences.
Yeah. Where did I misread something? Or is it okay that it was too much for me that I knew in that moment I had been your husband for 1 month. And I knew in that first 30 days being your husband that I was not man enough for you. And I had to admit it, and I hit that fucking exit ramp, and the rest of this whole shenanigans was downhill.
No. So I don't think it's a problem at all. Like,
you don't see me as less of a man?
Here's what was happening is that we were in a situation that I thought, in my head, my thoughts about it were, it's fun. There is no pressure. Like, this is just funny. Like, look at this crazy truck who's going 1,000,000 miles an hour and can perfectly navigate traffic, knows exactly, like, the instincts were spot on.
Spot on.
Every time. My thoughts were fun, right? Like, hilarious.
You're not
your
thinking...
thoughts were, I have to, now it's a competition and I have to be first.
Yeah.
I have to have something to prove.
I was playing a high stakes, high risk game.
So that's
and you were just having a ball.
Yes. We were just having two very different experiences. Now, I don't think it's a problem that you felt pressure or that you exploded, but my only thing would be it's not where anything went wrong.
Yeah.
It's just you were holding in, you were having this whole story about what you thought this game meant.
Yeah.
And you were, I mean, it started right away, the pressure. And I think if you had told me sooner, or even started making mention of, oh my gosh, I'm feeling pressure. Oh my gosh, this is making me anxious. Oh my gosh, you know, like, I know this is, if you felt bad about that, you'd say like, I know this doesn't make sense, but I'm feeling anxious about this. Like, but I had no idea until it was, I'm out. That was my first clue. There was a few other times when it would be like, I could see your jaw clenching thing.
Yeah.
Where you would be like, but I thought it was just like trying to stay in position and it would just pass in one moment. But I didn't know it was building. So I think the only thing I would say, I don't think you did anything wrong by any means.
Yeah.
But if we were to go back and do it again.
we go back and do it again, I'd have some
would say
bigger balls on me. And I'd just say,
like, this is stressing me out. I don't want to follow Crazy Truck anymore. I'd be like, okay, that was fun. Let's get some snacks.
See, that feels better immediately to me. It feels like grace when you said, okay, that was fun.
Yeah.
But I'm not ruining your day, you're saying.
No.
Because I can't hang in there. Because I can hang in there. And I was proving it. It's just at a certain point.
But proving it to no one. Like, I wasn't. Right? Like, that's part of it. Is like how much of the time you think you're proving something, proving yourself. And it's like, I'm not even having those thoughts.
You know how many times I've proven to you that I'm a man and you're just
and I miss it. Yeah, no idea. No idea. And I don't know when you're going to catch on to this. And I tell you this every time. It's like, you have to know by now. Like, how do you not know me that these aren't things that I'm sitting there thinking about? Like, I'm not putting you on a chart and you go up and down the chart. Like, that's just not happening.
You're down here back in the twat region. Why don't you man up?
Crazy truck.
And go out there and take care of that mountain lion. Wow, you can't hang with Crazy Truck.
No.
Oh, man. So, the point is, it was too much, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I was seeing a situation where I was being judged and ranked by my position in that line.
Yes.
That you were not having that experience. You were just like, I can't believe, you were probably sitting there thinking like, this Dave is the shit. We're still in this line, you know.
I wasn't thinking anything.
Maybe when we get off at the next exit at the Flying J Travel Plaza, I'll buy Dave a little dress because he can't handle it, and he can dance around for me, and I'll braid his hair.
I was having no thoughts about it, like whether you stayed in line or didn't.
I would have enjoyed that so much more.
I know.
Well, I think there's a lot of insecurities to unpack, but we'll continue to do that on our weekly segment, Misreading Rainbow. I think we nailed it here.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. And before you go, one more thing. So, as you know, I am slightly obsessed with helping as many humans tap into their calm AFness as possible. So if this podcast has helped you, would you please leave a review, make sure you're subscribed, and share it with your friends. Also, make sure you head on over to KristenFinch.com to see how you can work with me. You can sign up for my emails and get any other goodies I have available. Until next week, I love you so much. I am so grateful that you're here. I'll see you next time.